Stop forcing your body to heal. Try this instead. So if you're experiencing things like chronic fatigue, chronic pain, just chronic life, you experience an accumulation of patterns, because this is what happens is we develop patterns for safety and survival. And those patterns can start to master us. And if those patterns are continuing to drive our behaviors, then we do experience things accumulating in the body. What we want to do is break those patterns, particularly those patterns that we inherited in our early development from childhood, and all of those sorts of things that fundamentally wire the way we perceive reality, the way we continue to behave toward ourselves, and the way we move through life. So in today's video, we're going to go through a mental shift and a practice so that you can then start to shift that, so you can start to move down a pathway where you're no longer fighting against your body. I've been in that situation and I was stuck in it for a long time. And Marcus and I would like to give you a pathway so you can break free from that. Let's dive in a little further. Can you tell me more about like your experiences with forcing the body?
Yeah, when I look back into my earlier life, forcing and enduring was what I've learned and what I was really good at. It was just this mental aspect of not giving up and trying harder. And if you endure in long enough, it will get better. And all those things were just working all the time when I was training my body or when I was going through life. And just looking back, it was just what I've learned as a kid and then also as a younger adult, just to be in a waiting position and endure and fighting against for the hope that it will get better. And in this case, my body was, after years of doing that, just reflecting this in, of course, a lot of chronic tension, chronic infections, anxiety, and all that stuff just building up because of just holding on in the mind. And just to become aware of the body in a way and using the body as a tool. And maybe the word is, it sometimes sounds a bit too harsh, but I use it in a really lovely way as a tool for what's going on. This was very helpful to get awareness of what's really happening in my mind, and then switching perspective here and feeling the body's response, and from there just start cultivating a different way of life.
I hear you on that. I can relate. For a long time, I saw my body, like all the feelings that were there within it, because this is how we interface with life, restriction and a limitation. And then I would see that as something that I needed to overcome and like force change upon, particularly when it wasn't the way that I wanted it to be. And I experienced this quite distinctly when I first started practicing Qigong, when here I was doing a practice that was supposed to relax me and make me feel energized and vital and all of these wonderful things that are promised in the tagline of this practice. Just side note, I love Qigong, by the way, and its principles are very present in a lot of the practices that we share. But I almost stopped because when I first started practicing, I was like really angry all the time because it didn't give me what I thought it would. And B, because it made me feel completely out of control, because all of these feelings were coming up to the surface that I hadn't dealt with or hadn't had awareness of, that I was carrying for such a long time. And when I started to slow down and become more still, then it was much clearer to see. And so then my natural reaction and the pattern, like we were talking about earlier, that came up for me was, when I feel out of control, I try harder to control it. And so essentially I'm placing force upon my body, and then my body then keeps reflecting back to me saying, hey dude, like you're trying really hard. And I'm like, yeah. And it's then showing me, it keeps reinforcing the mental quality that I have in the present, and I just can't see it because it's right here. And that was quite confronting because I got stuck in that for a long time. And so And that's why I almost gave up, because I saw that I was doing all these things that were supposed to be good for me to help me heal in various ways, like physically and emotionally. It was doing the opposite, I thought, until I realized this key thing that we're going to be talking about. So is there any last thoughts just before we go into it, Marcus, that you want to add?
No, that's perfect. In a way, we are talking about the same things, and just reflecting back, we had different roads where we come from, but the same principles just work all the time.
Yeah. So what we're essentially talking about, the key shift here in the way we're working with the body, is rather than trying to push the body in a direction, whether that be I want to relax, I want to be at ease, I want to be strong, I want, you fill in the blanks with whatever you want, because the process is the same. What you want to experience and what your body is reflecting to you may be different. So to bridge that gap, what we're developing is what's called a mental quality. For example, the mental quality of strength. If you've spent any time strengthening your body, you will inevitably come face to face with the reality that you will feel weak. Now, as you start to embrace that weakness, then there's an inequality of strength that can be developed that is there irrespective of external circumstances. I apply this all the time in many areas of life when things get challenging. That is that quality of strength that is within me that I call upon to keep moving forward. But it's very different than that of the past, of me just trying to push and change everything. It required me to be able to surrender what is happening and find the strength within me. And we're going to look at how you can actually start to develop these qualities through a physical practice in this practice ahead. So we'll do it in a stillness posture, and you can be seated or standing. We're going to go through three things. We're going to focus on grounding into the body, because if you can't connect with your body, then you're just still in your mind. I spent a long time stuck like this, of always thinking I was doing things, but I wasn't really present with what was happening in the body, in the present moment. I was all lost in the mind. So we're going to ground into the body. We're going to allow yourself to feel into the body where you're holding some tension. And then we're going to go through a process of surrendering that weight that is being held. Now, as you do this, your mind may react to this. It may want to try and change things. Now, this is where we continue to be in the experience, being present with what's happening, and then continuing to go through the process. And what you'll find over time as you practice this is your mind will then start to develop the quality based upon how you're facing the challenge that is present. So that then as you keep moving through your life, you can keep applying that quality. As you go into other practices, you can keep applying that quality. It doesn't matter whether you're stretching. It doesn't matter whether you're at the gym. It doesn't matter whether you're walking down the street or having a conversation. We can access these mental qualities, and then the body can reflect it very quickly. And this is a very important quality that we're going to develop. So just take a moment. If you're seated, feel where your body is in contact with the ground. If you're standing, feel where your feet are in contact with the ground. Just keep letting your mind really be present with where you are in space. Be present with how your body is supported by whatever it is that you are seated or standing upon. And then we'll bring the hands up into an arm posture, just like you're hugging a big ball. Now, as you're here, you will likely notice patterns of your body and the way it holds tension. You might notice your shoulders are lifted up. You might notice your jaw is tense. You might notice your breathing is shallow. All we're going to do is just notice these patterns and practice not identifying by them. It's not that I am tense, it's just there is tension. It's not that my breath is short, there is shortness of breath. Just notice straight away already how when we shift that perspective, how the environment of the body can change. Notice already that we haven't tried to change the body. We are first shifting our viewpoint, our perspective of who it is that is watching this body. Because if you are broken and needing to do this practice to heal, for example, then your body will reflect that. What if inside your mind was already healed? Whatever that means to you. This is how we develop the mental qualities for the body to then reflect that state of being. Healing is wholeness, really wholeness between the connection with our body and with our mind. So as we're here, we're standing, as you keep breathing, just focus on surrendering weight into the ground. With every exhale in particular, we're breathing in, slowly exhaling, and relinquishing any unnecessary holding. So we need to become aware of where we're holding to then start to have a choice that we can let it go. So just keep noticing your body. You may notice all of the feelings that are coming up, all of the tension that is coming up. The more you engage with that tension and identify by it, the stronger it will become. But if we are developing the quality, the mental quality of strength here, well then there is strength to support you right now. And if you had that strength and knowing that you were fully supported right now, what might that mean for all of the past that you have been through? Through all of the challenges that you have been through, the hardships, you have developed strength to get up, live another day, and to keep going with whatever purpose you have for your life. Even if that purpose is just to be here, just to be present, just to live. So here we are in this situation, in the presence of a little challenge, cultivating the mind and the body. Now, you can continue this practice for 5-10 minutes a day. And what you'll notice over time is you start to learn to relax into the present moment in this challenge. Now, while we're doing this, there's wonderful things physiologically happening. You may notice that your blood circulation is starting to increase. So we're actively utilizing the body and speeding up the movement of energy, of circulation. Inside, the body is learning to relax and soften, which then helps more energy move around the body more efficiently, helps more circulation move through the body. You're learning how to let go and surrender unnecessary patterns of tension. And you continue that over time. This has a very powerful healing effect, a very powerful rebalancing effect on the body. And mentally, you start to feel quite unstoppable. But notice we're not trying to push. Just here, one breath at a time, with the tension, and surrender. This is how we cultivate the mental quality of strength, and this is how we can continue to cultivate many qualities that are very useful to allow us to not just survive in life, but to thrive. So just slowly bring your hands down. Rest them on your abdomen. So we'll come back to the initial intent that we started with, which is stop forcing your body to heal and try this instead. We applied this in a stillness practice. There's many different ways that you can explore stillness practices. There's stillness and there's movement. If we can focus on both, we give the body the perfect environment to support its healing. I hope this is useful for today. If there's any questions, reach out, and please feel free to check out any other videos that we have if you want to feel more healthy, more vibrant, and heal from all sorts of different conditions that might feel really stuck. There is hope, and with a little bit of practice, a lot can change.